a blizzard. I think I've been seeing some videos of like cars just like not knowing how to handle.
Like any blizzard?
Yeah. Hey, I look like a lumberjack today.
You do. You look like we switched roles. What's going on, everybody? Well, good morning. We're back in the office again today.
We are.
This is supposed to be easier.
I'm wearing my pajama pants.
Oh, that's good. I'm not sure that this is better necessarily. With the dogs, it's kind of chaotic, but we're here doing a show, and we're glad to see you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. I sent out my first email saying, hey, we have a morning show.
Okay.
And I also...
What do you mean by your first email?
Well, in our new system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
right. Well,
it's been a while since I've emailed people reminding them of the show. And while I was doing it, I realized we've been doing this show on and off for a decade. Over a decade.
I think it's probably time to stop. It's a good time to finish. You got to know when to leave.
And you know what?
Leave them wanting more.
Mooney, Build and Fix with Mooney will not let us because he just did a super chat.
Oh.
And just said, good morning, Mark and Nicole. I am still using my variety pack of the backside sandpaper. And I have to tell you, it's pretty handy.
Well, good.
And it's going to last a very long time.
Oh, we are very glad to hear that.
5-star. He gave you 5 stars.
Oh my gosh, I'm playing with my lights. Do you see that? There we go.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to hear that it's working out for you. We love it. We just don't love making it, but we love it. So thank you, anybody who picks that stuff up. Anyway, that's at backsideSandpaper.com if you want to get some.
It's the kind of thing that you gotta have good ventilation when we make it, and it's been really cold here, and just like Patrick, who's in Louisiana, who had a blizzard. I feel like you got our blizzard that happened a few weeks back.
Yikes.
Does it take that long to? Probably not. It's probably a different blizzard.
Nope, maybe the wind might be going in a different direction.
Just, I hope you're safe. I know it's kind of crazy. I get an impression because, the South doesn't know what to do with that snow.
Well, they don't know what to do with it here. And this is, I know some people
St.
refer
Louis,
to parts of Missouri as the South.
St. Louis kind of dropped the ball on this one. But
they freak out like they've never seen white stuff from the sky.
It's been a while.
What do we do?
It's been a while. Yeah, it was a very mild winter last year.
Yeah.
So we were like...
But does the infrastructure forget that there's snow because it didn't snow one year? It's insane that they don't have it figured out a little bit better. Anyway,
welcome to the morning show. I'm Nicole.
Yeah, I'm Mark, and I was working on some windows today.
Yep.
I finally got those Poplar casings together. Everything's at the house now, and I'm trying to do the actual final install, which is going okay.
I'm glad it's getting done, but I will say... I tend to do the show notes for the show, just kind of keep us on track. And my note is, Mark is working on the window casings. Help.
A lot of sanding going on in there.
Here's Mark. I believe it was 20 minutes before the show started.
Yeah, I'm in there sanding away. So the casings aren't fully, it's assembly with I guess you would call it the jam trim on the inside as well as the outer casing. And they're not seating the way I hoped they would. And it turns out the drywall has a whole lot of buildup of mud that went up to the previous trim pieces. So what I'm doing there is just kind of sanding it down a little bit before I have to do anything more severe, just to make sure we get, good contact between the frame and the drywall. So I'm sanding them down, then pounding them in, and then I'm just at that point now where I'm trying to decide, do I want to paint them in place? Do I want to take them all the way back to the shop? I don't know. But the next picture Nicole has here shows a few of them
looks so nice.
Installed. You could see our neighbor's house back there. This is what we're talking about with the view.
Hi.
And these are not just regular windows. They're floor, not floor to ceiling quite, but they start at the floor. And they've got full view. Every night when we eat dinner, we're on display. So I really can't wait to get the shades up. That would be the next step after the painting. So so it's going okay. I feel good about it. I'm ready to get these things done.
So Dougie is with us underneath the table, and I'm kicking him because he
keeps licking.
He keeps licking, and I even had him groomed yesterday, and
he's a bulldog.
Still stinky. And Sir Shylock says, I have a coworker anytime we're on a Teams call, I can hear his Bulldog snoring in the background.
I'll tell you what, our Bulldog did not become classic Bulldog in terms of snoring, noisiness, stinkiness, allergies, till we moved here. He was way better off in Denver.
In drier climate.
Yeah, for sure. And he definitely has more skin issues and allergic reactions to things. He's always going after his paws now, but he was totally stable in Denver, so I feel bad about that. But
David D said, I appreciated the reminder. I'm really glad. It makes my heart happy.
no, I mean, we like to do the
I
reminders.
will admit, I get a little sad when I see unsubscribes, but I get it. You know, we might not be
Can I
right
teach
for
you
you right now.
a really important secret?
They're probably bots.
No, stop looking. If you have a message, this is my philosophy. If you have a message that you believe in and you want to put it out there and people unsubscribe, then they are just
It's
doing
okay.
you a favor.
That's true. That is true.
Because you're not bothering them. now.
I don't want to bother anyone.
Right.
So, speaking of emails, we got an email.
Checking the email. That's an old joke.
If you're old, you probably got that. An update. So I wanted to do like a small update in in-person classes because we got another group of 5 coming in February. But I got an email from Popular Woodworking / Woodsmith / what do we call it? Just like the wood
Illuminati.
So anyway, I got an email from them and it got me really excited and I enjoyed our conversation about it because it is a woodworking, I think it's eight days of traveling overseas.
It's a European excursion.
It's 8 days, yes.
What's
8
it
days.
cost? You pay them.
So if it's just you, it's $7,200. I was gonna say $1,000. It's not.
$7,200.
See, if I would have said $72,000, the $7,200 doesn't seem that bad.
No, but still.
But the idea is that they go around to all
cool.
of these like classic woodworking types
Like active shops
yes.
destination locations for woodworkers.
I'll put
That's
a link
so cool.
in the chat. And I'm like, Mark, we should go. And Mark's like, how about we just do something like that here in Missouri?
Missouri's just like Europe. I mean, it's really not that different. The names of the streets are all spelled the same, pronounced very differently, but they're all spelled the same. Lots of vowels that they tend to ignore here.
Creve Coeur
Yeah.
is my favorite.
That seems really cool. I love that idea.
So we do
neat.
have some pretty cool stuff around. If you've ever visited the shop, I tend to try to let you know about the things woodworking type around here. So I have a Google Doc that I share with all the students and people that visit. So, but yeah, I think there could be some potential for us to kind of turn Missouri into a fun woodworking experience if they want to come hang out with us. I don't know. I think it's cool. I don't know.
It's a good idea.
There's a Frank Lloyd Wright house that we can go to.
There are places we could go.
Yeah.
Like the Children's Museum. We'll just go and hang out there.
We'll go to it's not the Children's Museum. It's called the Magic House.
Whatever.
But they have a maker space there called Made, which I really want to see. But anyway,
I'll teach you how to make a pork steak.
I digress.
It'll be a whole thing. We'll eat slimy cracker pizza.
Oh, no,
it's gonna be great.
We're not going to do that. We will not take.
I wouldn't do that to you.
We're not going to take you to emos, IMOs, whatever you want to call it. I'm not an IMOs fan, even though I'm from Missouri. I'm not.
Except for, especially because everyone calls it emos.
Is it emo? See, I call
I know
it
you
IMOs.
keep saying that.
I've always called it IMOs.
You also think that biscuits and gravy shouldn't have pepper, which goes against what everyone else who eats it wants. But anyway. What else we got?
What else do I have? Oh, Ava's still selling her Girl Scout cookies. If you missed that last week, feel free. I'll leave a drop a link. She is a selling machine. She made like a little list of all of her goals.
Yeah.
She's writing lots of like goal things lately, like with her letter to Netflix.
Oh, yeah, she's got a whole list she's working through.
Yeah.
Mooney says, Mark's not into it today. What's your what you're detecting here is that I, like Nicole said, was literally in the middle of a project and trying to get those casings installed. And I love you guys, but I think you know the way you would be if you're in the middle of something and you need to stop, change gears to eventually just go back to that thing. My brain right now is purely on what am I doing with this casing.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm not into it so much as I am a little bit distracted.
Jeffrey, you are so right. Daniel Boone's home is also really cool.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh my God. I remember having a field trip there and just
I bet you we can go check out the Quinn saw blade company, right? Like there's we can go to Beaver Tools.
Beaver Tools.
Go look at some expensive tools.
There's so much. There's some sawmills that I'm sure we could go check out.
That's true. Yeah, we can go down to what is it? What the heck is the name of that place? I forget what it is. Anyway, where we've been getting the wood with Craig.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just to say, there's been a lot going on. I wanted to catch. I've been doing most of the talking, but
that.
If you are not notified of these shows through YouTube or whatever, I do have a link that you can sign up for the newsletter notification. So I'll put that in the show notes as well. So
who we shouting out here? What's this?
I just wanted, because this happened before we went on break during the holidays. I wanted to give a shout out to a podcast called The Workshop Therapy. I started listening to them because they did an episode about burnout. I think you were talking about burnout.
I may have inspired that episode.
They did. I think so. You did. I think you might have.
I've been on there twice, I think.
Yeah.
If you want to hear me talk about my mental issues, my anxiety.
He has a lot.
How dare you?
So do I. I'm not.
Would you like to be on their podcast?
I probably would be amazing on their podcast.
It actually is really good. They're both educated. I believe
So
Tamara
Andrew
is a teacher, right? Yeah, she's a teacher.
Yeah. Aren't they both?
Well, he's more in the academic side right now.
Yeah.
He was getting a degree or something. Anyway.
So Andrew hosts, but I got the impression that he usually does it on his own, but he had his wife Tamara on, and I absolutely love her, and I wanted to express my love. I've already told them through chat, but it means something different.
Was great.
Abby, I know what it's like.
Stop whining.
See, that's why we should have put him in the bedroom. I know what it's like. So if, like I said, we've been doing this show for over 10 years, but if you go back to episode 1 through, I don't know, probably 20, you won't see me. I'll be off screen.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So we used to be off camera.
I didn't want to talk.
And everyone was like, you got to get Nicole a microphone because they couldn't hear her. So we got her a microphone and we just slowly but surely worked our way in there.
I was very, very nervous to be part of this.
Well, it also seemed at that time out of place, right? You're not a woodworker.
No.
You're a woodworker's wife.
I can be a woodworker if I want to be.
I didn't say you could.
In fact,
Nicole, you could be an astronaut.
Look at what I got for Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna carve that.
I bought her a little whittling kit from the Ukraine.
I'm freaking gonna love it.
So but yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Speaking of not being into it, I was going to ask you about this. There was one episode in that Burnout series, because you said you'd listen to it. It's really, really good. So I took a listen. There was one episode that they did where Tamara was not into it.
Yeah.
I was listening to it and I go, that sounds like a wife who'd rather be doing anything else right at that moment.
The one I listened to, she sounded
But it was
great.
a two-parter.
Oh.
So I think, but again, she's a teacher.
Yeah.
There's probably days where
Holy crap.
the last thing she wants to do.
Well, and I don't know what grade she teaches or if it's college.
They all suck.
I don't know. Middle school, I think, for some people is probably the worst.
Yeah.
Ooh. So I put a link to their podcast in Apple, but you can look them up, Workshop Therapy Podcast, and you'll find them. And they have a Patreon as well. So.
Yep. It's good because if you ever wanted an acronym or initialism to blame for your problems, they're going to help you do that.
WTF. Right, but what's the F?
I don't know, but last Guild show, we were shooting human papillomavirus out of guns. So some of you may remember that. It was good. Because HPV. Nicole mispronounced or misread
I misread
HVLP as HPV.
Sometimes my brain doesn't interpret what I'm reading properly, and so there's like a little disconnect sometimes.
Do you know what else is happening?
And that's what makes me funny.
There's a weird disconnect happening with me today. Yeah. I've been getting back into Audible, and I'm reading a series, the Spellmonger series, that I've read it before, but I need to catch up because I want to get back to the book where I left off, right? So I'm just listening to it much faster. I'm listening at like 1.5x and breezing through the book, sometimes a little bit faster. And the problem is now, and I've been doing it for like the last 3 or 4 days, sitting here listening to you talk, you sound drunk to me. You sound like you're in slow motion.
I always sound slow motion to you.
Yeah, but today in particular, I think my brain has been trained by Audible, and I'm like, you are talking very slow.
No, my medication also slows me down.
Yeah, that could be it. You know what else does? Missouri. Okay. Should we get to some questions?
Hey, if you are in the chat, I've been noticing you asking questions. Don't think I'm not noticing.
Okay, yeah, we'll grab your questions.
I'm starring them, and I put them over to the side. So I wanted to make sure you know that you can ask any questions.
And we also have questions from Patreon.
We have Patreon. And Utah.
Utah?
YouTube.
Some of them might be in Utah.
Look, guys.
This is nonstop hits from Nicole. The greatest hits.
My condition is a little weird, all right?
Yeah.
It sometimes makes my brain a little wonky.
Yeah,
so
sometimes.
Tomorrow's going to get even weirder.
Tomorrow's the big day, by the way.
Yeah.
Wish Nicole luck.
I have a 12-hour IVIG infusion, and I just want to say to you, if you are a plasma donor, thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be...
You're the reason why I'm able to get this treatment.
We're super excited about it, but also very nervous about it.
Sure.
So we will see. So wish Nicole luck.
Yeah.
It's how long is the whole thing?
12
hours. So all day Saturday.
So I might either be completely out of it, or you might get...
Or we're doing a live show tomorrow. With an IV bag. She's like, no, we're going. Let's go. Let's hope it's the latter. All right. We got some pre-selected questions. Patreon.com/woodwhisper if you want to help support the show, as well as YouTube members right here. These are questions we ask for ahead of time. But again, chat room if you have questions right now. Rich wrote in. He says, I'm just getting my feet wet with spraying finishes. I'll probably stick mostly to waterborne. Water-based paints, maybe occasionally some oil-based poly or lacquer, mostly due to nasty VOCs. If I clean my sprayer thoroughly, do I need to have 2 and dedicate 1 per finish, or can I use 1 for all of my needs? Not sure if it matters, but I have a Fuji 3-stage. You know, it's funny. Listen to the latest Wood Talk. We just published it yesterday. Matt was discussing his hatred of water-based finishes.
So you recorded it and posted it all at the same time? You didn't?
No.
Oh.
We recorded it on like Sunday.
Was it Sunday?
Yeah. Yesterday was Thursday.
Was that the one with the pottery?
Yeah.
Oh.
So anyway,
sorry,
you'll hear Matt talk about his experience spraying tinted conversion varnish, as well as water-based, and he was talking about how much of a pain in the butt water-based finishes can be, because while you think it's water-based, you think, well, it should dissolve in water, cleanup should be easy.
Stop.
It is when it's wet. But as that material starts to cure, it's really just a water carrier. And then as the material cures, you can actually get these little boogers that hang on to everything and won't redissolve. So then you have to use more heavy-duty chemicals just to get those out of your gun. So it is not a bad idea to dedicate a unit to water-based finishes, and then have something separate that you know is always going to be clean. You can clean it with a lacquer thinner, something like that redissolves and makes it a whole lot more smooth of a situation when you want to use that type of finish. When you're mixing them, you do have cross-contamination concerns, things like that to be aware of, but I do think it's a good idea, if you're going to spray both concurrently and a lot, to have 2 separate setups, 1 for water and 1 for your solvent-based finishes, like your lacquers and things like that. That's what I would do.
Mm-hmm. I just want to address Rick. Emos. Like, look, I grew up like emos instead of imos because I say imos. So the reason why I think I say imos is because when we were kids, it was not a popular place. When I left and came back, something happened over those 20 years with that, because we actually went to IMOs, and us as kids would joke around and we would call it IMO Slimos because the cheese is so slimy.
Yeah.
And it's a Provel cheese. It's like a mix of like provolone, cheddar, and mozzarella. So it's a very different kind of cheese. And if you like it and you love it, but I did not. And so that's probably why I say IMOs, because we as kids would always...
you locked it in your brain that's
I locked it in my brain.
You guys did it as a joke.
And this was the 80s, so...
Yeah.
But anyway, Jeffrey has so many great recommendations. And Jeffrey, I'm starring all of your recommendations. He said there's a bourbon barrel factory off 44 in Stockton. So he's just giving me tons.
Is that where Russ worked?
No,
making barrel staves?
Russ works where I grew up in New Florence, off of 19. There is Highway 19. There is they make barrels for whiskey.
Okay.
And it's like, I don't know, what's the Quarterson
White Oak barrel staves.
Yeah. Stave. They call it the stave mill. That's what they call it.
Well, that makes sense. Alan H. wrote in. He says, I have some nice planes and need to improve my sharpening process. I've been digging into Rob Kostman's approach, 300, 1,000 diamond plate, and 16,000 ceramic glass stone. Do you have a process that you prefer? I do. I don't know that I want to change your mind, though. I mean, sharpening is one of those things, like there's 1,000 different ways, combinations of grits, combinations of sharpening mediums and techniques that you can use. I don't want to muddy that water. Rob's got a great approach there, and if it's working for you, don't look elsewhere. You're do just fine, right? So what I use are all pretty much Shapton stones. I do have some diamond stones that I use for keeping my Shapton stones flat. I do some of the low grit sharpening if I really need to like reset a bevel or something like that. I'll use the diamond stones for that. But like I said, I don't want to muddy the water. I think that's a great way to do it. I do have an old video talking about that. It was, in fact, I think a captured live stream before it looked this good. It wasn't so good, but that is on our website. I think it's called My Sharpening System.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the olden days.
It's a little rough.
That was the days of Ustream.
Yeah, and I still use the same system today for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, don't get too caught up, and this goes for anybody getting into sharpening. Don't get too caught up on like moving from one system to the next. Like, there's 100,000 different ways that you can get a sharp tool. So find one that works and stick with it.
Ray Dixon said, how about Ted Drew's?
Well, there you go.
Love Ted
There's
Drew's.
a solid St. Louis staple.
Heck yeah.
That I could get behind.
Heck yeah.
All right.
I'm all about the Ted Drew's.
Curzon262 says, likely a favorite of yours. A finished question. Sorry, I recently made a new coffee table. I use Rubio Monocoat following the manufacturer's instructions. I like the finish, and my wife loves the table. However, we ran into an olfactory issue. My wife is extremely smell sensitive, and the smell of Rubio makes her nauseous. He says he kind of digs it.
I get you.
I don't like it either. We were talking about this. I think I was talking with Keith in the class recently. To me, it smells like a fresh tobacco smell. And there's not a lot of people who agree with me, but there's a few. And they go, yes, that's the smell. I don't appreciate it. I don't like it. It doesn't drive me out of the house, but I don't like it.
Doesn't make you want to...
Yeah, it's not the worst thing I've smelled. You know what I mean? All right. Where am I? Even keeping the table locked up in another room, it took a month for it to become tolerable for her to go near that room again.
Oh, wow.
After about 2 days, I couldn't smell anything myself. Okay. Do you have any recommendations for the least smelly hard wax oil? Ideas on how to cut down on the smell? My shop is connected to my house, so unfortunately, I just can't leave it in a corner and come back later. So I think one of the problems is anytime you enclose one of these things, it just seems to take longer. Like if you have a cabinet that you finished and you close the door, the interior of that cabinet can take years before it starts to not smell like the finish that you actually used on it. Do you remember a bread box kind of had that issue for a very long time? It had
a stinky smell in it?
Yeah, it had a stinky smell.
Yeah,
because you close it, right? So you got to leave it open to fresh air. So even if you put this thing into a back room, if that back room wasn't really well ventilated, you're just kind of trapping everything in there. And
the
for
back
someone
rooms.
for someone who's super sensitive, they go in there, and now it's not just the table they're smelling the room because it's got that odor.
Yeah.
So you really do want it to be in some place that has a lot of fresh air, like the garage or the shop. But I mean, your situation, I think you said, that wouldn't allow for that. So trying to think which finishes have been less offensive to me. I think Osmo is one that goes away pretty quickly. When you're talking about Rubio, you have a longer cure period. So it dries to the touch pretty quickly, but you still have days, like on the order of like 7 days or something before it's at full cure.
What about bumbleshoots? I like the smell of bumbleshoots. It smells like honey.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing.
Oh.
We're talking about like the 1 to 2 coat hard wax oils. Bumbleshoots is tongue oil, citrus solvent. You got that orangey smell, but we're not exactly talking about the same kind of finish.
Gotcha.
So I would try Osmo. I've had better luck with that in terms of the smell. Just, it's a little bit more, honestly, a little more intense. There are VOCs in it. You want to wear a respirator or have good ventilation when you're applying it, but it cures a little bit faster.
Tell me what VOC stands for again.
Volatile organic compounds. The nasty stuff.
Yeah.
So you're still going to want to protect yourself while applying, and it will have an initial smell. Here's a good thing. Our floor. Oh. I used Osmo on the floor.
Yeah.
It was about 2 days of hell.
Yeah.
But then it really went away fast.
Yeah, it did go away fast.
Right? And that's an entire floor in our kitchen that was done with that. Now, with Rubio, I think I might have been a little bit more bothered by it for a longer period of time. So, chat room, you guys have experience with this stuff too. Any recommendations, comparisons to other finishes that you like? Let's see if we can give Curzon 262 a recommendation.
Got a chat. I'm going to bring in some.
Yeah, I got one more in
I got like a ton.
Notes.
Joel.
Joel.
Good morning from Austin, Texas.
What's up, Joel?
Is it snowing there?
Hopefully.
Mark and Nicole, do you have an exterior... Y'all. Do you y'all
You y'all.
have an exterior door plan on your site? Not on our main site.
Right.
But Brian Benham did a green and green inspired guild course. So it's like really detailed and thorough in building an exterior door. It's beautiful.
And it's for his shop, and I think his wife was mad because it should have been his front door.
I wish you would do our door.
You settle down. You're getting excited.
Can you?
The medicine is getting to your head. Can you calm down?
Can you please make us a front door?
Calm down, Nicole.
I hate our front door.
I think Brian did like a stave core structure for that one. Really, really good build. Even if you don't want the decorative elements that he put into, you don't want a green and green style door. The fundamentals, if you're just doing a big old, raised panel, frame and panel door, the fundamentals are still there. So definitely worth checking out. And Brian Benham knows the stuff.
I'll put a link. I mean, it is a guild course, so it does cost money. But you get a lot of benefits if you're not a guild member. So you'll get the plans, you'll get the walkthrough, you'll get access to Brian if you have questions. So yeah.
I have access to Brian, but it costs me money.
Every time.
What's up with that? All right, I got my last question in my notes here from David. Well, David L-C4W, to be specific. Weird name. I think his parents named him that. I hear some people say that they like to set their table saw fence up so it toes out. We already did this last week.
Did we? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, we did do that one.
I don't know if it's the same person.
It says 1 day ago, though.
Okay.
Did he ask it again?
I don't know if it's the same person asking the same question, but we did answer this question about towing out the blade at the table saw and the ramifications of doing that. Go back to the last episode.
Are you sure it wasn't on the guild meeting?
Pretty sure.
Okay.
I don't want to necessarily repeat myself if it was on the last Friday show. Let me just sum it up then, just in case. He's talking about whether or not it's a good idea to tow out your table saw fence, and I do think it's a good idea because giving yourself a little bit of relief space there can lead to a cleaner cut, less burning, less chance of kickback. So what we're really talking about is just a couple thousandths. It's not enough to cause problems with you actually pushing the wood through or creating a taper or anything. It's a couple of thousandths out at the back, out of parallel with the blade. And that generally prevents those rear teeth as they're coming up from contacting the wood. You really only need them to touch at the front when they're making the cut. Excuse me. If they touch at the back, they just burn, right? It's just the sides of those teeth making contact with the wood, so towing out just a little bit. So here's the thing. I don't really go incredibly out of my way to do that. But if I'm tuning my fence and getting it where I need it to be, usually it's hard to get it dead on perfect, right? But I can usually find my way to making it a little bit off this way or a little bit off the other way. So what I do, I just favor going a little bit off the other way. And then you never think about it again until you need to tune it up again.
So Troy said both him and his wife are allergic to Rubio hardener.
Yeah.
Seems it's the cobalt. There's cobalt in it. We both get an awful rash.
Oh. Well, the hardener is not something you want to be messing with too much anyway, but if you have an allergy that's like any exposure, inhalation, or even light, contact, or somehow just the off-gassing or something is problematic, that's not good. But the hardener itself is diisocyanate. And that's one of the problems with a lot of these hard wax oil finishes is when you see them presented in a way that like they're using their bare hands, they're not protecting themselves in any way from this stuff. This stuff is not honey. Like it's not something you want on your skin. It is not something that is 100% safe. You don't have to think about it at all. Don't touch it. Use gloves. I still use a respirator, partly because I just hate the smell, but I also just don't want any vapor or anything getting into my lungs. I wear my respirator with that stuff. But yeah, the diisocyanate hardeners are not something you want to play with. And I imagine, even if you don't have an allergy, I often wonder about some of these things with excessive exposure, developing allergies just from being exposed to it too many times. That's something that can happen too. You kind of become sensitized to it.
Sensitized.
The opposite,
not
if you become sensitized to it.
Yeah.
I've at least heard of that. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, but I've heard of that.
Okay, so everybody is agreeing. It was last Friday's show that. So maybe.
But I don't know if it's the same question from the same guy. But it says a day ago.
A day ago. So if anything, I'll go in there and just say, hey, you get 2 answers for the price of 1.
We also try after the show to go back and give a time code to the person that asked the question so that they know their question was answered. And sometimes
I haven't had a chance to do
after the show
chapter markers.
Yeah, it's real tough to get in there. So I feel bad because if anyone who comes in there late looks like I've ignored their question. So we need to make sure we do that.
I will work on that later.
Yeah, Matt doesn't do anything. Maybe Matt will do it.
In the 12 hours that I'm sitting, I'm going to go through all of the shows.
Matt told me he likes working for free last night. So, Matt, we know you and I both know you're not doing anything right now. So,
Troy said we started using MARC's combo from the executive desk. It's a great finish, and you can tweak it per application. You had a combo finish that you...
I don't know what I did.
I know.
It might have been an oil, a shop-made oil wax finish.
Yeah.
I think that was when I did...
well, Troy liked it.
Oh, probably tongue oil, polymerized tongue oil, maybe with a little bit of beeswax and a little bit of carnauba wax. If you get into that stuff and if you're not hung up on having like a bulletproof finish.
Science.
You could have so much fun, like just playing with waxes and making pastes and doing your own little custom finishes. I love doing that.
Alex said rustic lumber's hard wax oil is less intense smelling than Rubio. It's rebranded as Wood Daddy Finish. Is it really? I thought he was making a joke.
No. They made a choice.
Okay.
And look, I'm called the Wood Whisperer. I'm not going to make fun of anybody's name.
No, especially since you called something you did Mark Juice.
Yeah, but I didn't sell it. Right. I did that because I just thought it was funny. But when we're talking about the coffee beans, I'm like, well, I would love to call this spag beans.
Yeah. Speaking of,
but no one's going to buy spag beans to drink them.
I know Tyler, sorry, is not watching, so it doesn't even matter.
Hey, guess what?
But what?
Dougie farted. It just wafted up between us. Yeah, I mean, who's going to drink the juice of the spag bean? That's what I want to know.
It's really good.
Drink my beans!
It's really good.
Dougie, get off my mic cord.
All right, so more questions.
Yeah, let's go. Questions. Hey. Gimme.
Dr. Ben Bodner is in the chat.
Esquire.
Ductwork update. Just got an eye-popping quote from Oneida. Mark already spent all my money on Sonos.
Yeah, man. Well, we told him in the guild meeting recently, right?
Yeah,
he
we
was
were
asking
talking
about ductwork, cheaper than Nordfab, and I suggested maybe go to Oneida. They might have something that's a scale down Nordfab, and apparently it's still pretty expensive. I'll tell you what, though. If you're going to be like me, and you might move at some point, or you might reconfigure your shop, it's a big investment in stuff like Nordfab and the quick connects. But my gosh, does it really lower the stress level when you do have to reconfigure because it's actually fairly quick. I still don't like doing it, but it's much faster than if I were using PVC or snap lock pipe or something like that.
Or HVAC pipe?
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right. Bearded Viking Woodworks. Are you putting out any videos on the casing? Curious if you did biscuits or pocket screws.
I am Bearded
Viking. He
Viking.
did dovetails. No, he didn't.
I did blind dovetails, like you do. No, so I used the combination of things. Brad nails for the internal frame. And again, I talked to Matt and Shannon about this. They said, look, you're never going to win with the terminology.
Yeah.
So I think of it as a jam, but it may not be. So there's an internal frame.
Did you pump it up?
that goes into against the window right on the inside, and then my outer casing gets attached to that. So that internal frame was just glue and brads to hold that thing together. Couldn't really justify doing anything else. The main frame for the outside, the casing, that was just woodworking in the shop, right? And I've got all the stuff there. I want this thing to be perfect. I want my joints to never come apart. I don't want any movement to cause any problems. And this is now a single unit being installed. So I just double dominoed every joint. There's two 40mm dominoes in each one of those joints. And that sucker's locked in.
Double domino.
And it ain't going nowhere. So I would have had nothing wrong with using pocket screws for this. The trick, though, is I didn't want to take my jig apart, and these are fairly long pieces. So I was just like, the jig is up on the crawl space. I'm like, let me just brad
That's how
nail
long it is.
Well, the reason I mentioned the length is the way I've got my pocket screw jig. It's attached to a base plate that I can kind of clamp down to a bench. So my pieces have to go vertical. I don't have one that you can kind of take to the material. I should probably get one just to have it.
Okay.
For those purposes, those times.
Uh-oh. Something's not good. Hopefully we're all right. We got a question from Andrew. He's in Minnesota. And I just installed a heater, and I'm going to heat it full time.
I'm not going to heat it full time.
I'm sorry, not going to. Should I bring in my lumber between milling sessions?
That sounds like it sucks. I mean, for practical purposes, are you really going to continue doing that? It just seems like something that's not sustainable for a long period of time. What it might be worth doing, especially if it's insulated, if you have an insulated space, it is probably worth having a low temp that you just kind of let it go at. Like, you don't have to necessarily have it at 68 all the time, right? You could put it at something like 60 degrees where it's not too bad, but you're kind of keeping the room fairly consistent with maybe a 10 degree, 15 degree swing in temp. I don't know. I don't think I would bring it in. That just sounds unsustainable. I don't think I would do that. And again, I try to make sure we hammer this home, guys.
Let me just say.
What?
If it's a small board.
We don't know what he's building.
Exactly.
So
if it's a small board,
But I say all the time.
If it's a big board.
It's really a question of humidity more than temperature. So it's not a bad idea to have a meter in your shop and your home and compare what's happening when you do this so that you're not flying blind here. You may have a temperature swing, but it really doesn't change too much in terms of humidity. Then there's really nothing to really worry about with those kinds of swings. But yeah, I just worry about the sustainability, the long term of having to constantly bring your stuff in and out, And also, most likely, unless you're building like a musical instrument, it's probably not that big of a deal.
All right. We officially reached the time when our son has entered the chat.
Oh, hello. Hello, my son.
When I used to...
He asked me before I started, he says, Mark, he says, Dad, do you want to say anything before you start? And I said, yeah, run while you still can. And he just came in at 40 minutes to make sure everyone saw that.
Okay. Maybe that was earlier. Oh no, that was at the top of the show. For some reason, my chat went all the way to the top. So
okay.
he's probably not even there because we didn't even
Nope,
acknowledge.
we didn't acknowledge him, and he's like, I'm out.
I'm out. Sandy, she just said, good to raise awareness about plasma donation. I couldn't give blood because of places in the military sent me, but could give platelets. So yeah, I wish I could donate now. I don't think I'm going to be able to now.
I haven't donated in a long time.
You should totally donate plasma.
Hey, you be quiet.
Because then
ears.
I could be...
You want my plasma?
I want your plasma. So the way that IVIG works is they take donations from thousands of donors and they take it all and then they
mash them together.
And then they pull out the antibodies, and that's what is. And there's different forms of it and all.
Antibodies.
So Sandy, yes, I'm going to be a big advocate now of saying, hey, I know it's kind of a pain in the butt.
Where's our local donation
to give
place?
Plasma.
Yeah. Give that plasma. Give me all the plasma.
Because it takes longer to do than just blood.
Well, people could be watching this show and giving away their platelets and their plasma.
Please do.
Okay.
Let's see. And I just wanted to say since we're on the topic, Shylock, his wife has a chronic autoimmune condition, and it took a long time to diagnose.
It seems that's the case.
Yep. Over 2 years here. So, and that's what I read. When it first happened, I was like, 2 to 3 years?
Yep.
Ooh.
Hey, you got to knock it off.
Mike Cannonberry wants to know, are there any tips, tricks for building wall-to-wall built-in bookshelves?
Yeah, my best tip is to get someone else to do it.
No. We just featured one in the latest guild meeting that one of the members...
Oh, that was beautiful.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
The only advice I could give you is to watch my closet build. And it's not going to be a great resource for this type of thing because this isn't something I have a ton of experience with. But it's worth watching what I did because I did have to scribe the styles and the face frame and make it fit within a certain space, right? Mateo's getting...
Mateo's trying to take
Look, she's like, he's dragging her.
Drag her.
Abby, go! She's putting on the brakes. She's like this. So it at least will give you maybe a little bit more of a layman's perspective on someone who's from the furniture world trying to adapt what I do to a built-in like that. And a bookcase wouldn't be all that different, right? You're just putting a series of carcasses in between the space and trimming it out so it looks good.
And it's a 2-part series. I'll link to it in the chat. But you can just go to the woodwhisper.com.
Yeah.
Our search, I don't know if you noticed, it's in the top right hand corner. It says all. But if you want to get very specific to just the videos, change that little drop down and just type in closet.
Yep.
And you will find...
It'll work.
Yep.
Yeah, and the thing is, like I said, take my stuff with a grain of salt, but it worked, and I have some decent methods that I did a little research to make sure I was doing it correctly. Yeah.
It's my favorite.
It's funny, too, because filming in that space was a nightmare. It's a small closet.
Sure.
So most of it was done with my phone on 0.5 to get the wide, fish lens. Fish eye. Hey, get out of there. What are you doing? He's just chewing a box. See, I'm having a similar problem, but bigger issues trying to film this casing because it's 5 giant windows, which is nothing but a huge source of light right in the way of the camera, and it's really hard to film in there. So I don't know how well this video is going to come out. Todd's going to hate it. So
AC Explains said, Mark who, I'm just here for Oreo.
Well, you're out of luck.
There you go. There's Oreo, loaf Oreo.
Yep, he's holding his eggs, keeping them warm.
That was during Mark's Guild Plus live demo.
Oh, is he on a table saw?
He's on the table saw, and he just kind of loafed up and was just at times watching you.
You guys are asking how that carbon method stuff is holding up.
You can even see his paw prints.
Yeah, he's a nut, that guy. He's back in the shop now, by the way.
Oh, good.
Brought him in.
Good. He is such a turd. It's cold, and he just doesn't care.
He's got that thick coat.
Yeah.
That luxurious coat. All right, what else?
We got a question here from Mohammed.
Mohammed.
I finished my end grain cutting board with tung oil and citrus solvent, applied 3 coats a day apart. I did it the way you suggested without flooding it. It's not cured after 3 to 4 days since the last coat.
Oil takes weeks to cure. So
did you say that in the video?
I'm sure I did. But the thing is, your application of it, you can sometimes go 24 hours between coats. But if you keep doing that, you're putting uncured finish on top of uncured finish, and then it just makes it take longer.
How do you know when it's cured?
It's hard to tell, especially if you're
talking about... Can I put a paper towel on it?
Nope.
No.
If you're talking about an end grain cutting board, again, weeks, right? Let me lay out the ideal. The problem is no one's going to do this because it makes no sense.
Well, and everybody's environment is a little different, drier, more humid.
But what you would do in an ideal scenario is you would apply that very, very light coat of the oil, let it sit, and you would let it sit. Ideally, let it sit for a week, and then go back and apply your next coat, and let that one sit for a week. And then finally, if you feel like it needs it, give it that third coat and let it sit a few weeks, right? At that point, you want it to completely off-gas, completely cure. If there's any of that citrus solvent, if you're using that, you want to make sure it's completely... Really, it doesn't have much smell before you use it for the first time. That's what you would do in the ideal world. But that doesn't always, it's not feasible to do that. So you do rush it a little bit. You could, honestly, if you wait 2 or 3 days between coats, that's not a bad idea. That's putting you in the right direction. But if you go 24 hours between coats, sometimes it can work out just fine. Sometimes you wind up with it like not being totally cured. The secret now is to just wait. Put it in a nice, fairly warm area with good ventilation if you can, and just be patient, and eventually it will cure. It should cure.
Let me see. Does it count if I give plasma to a place that pays me? Heck yeah! Get paid for that. You can.
Yeah, how do I get in on that?
You can do it too.
I want to give the plasmas.
The last I heard, don't they give you like $100 or something like that?
Really?
I think so.
Can you just donate the proceeds to charity?
I don't know how it all works.
I feel like you're doing it for charitable reasons, and
right.
if you don't need the money.
But I take the $100 and...
Run? You'd go buy some immunoglobulins?
I'll go buy my treatment.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. We got a question here from Bobby C.
Bobby C.
Speaking of Bobby C.
Yeah.
The best way to sharpen is the one you will do regularly. Sharpening... I don't even know... I might have accidentally...
That's not a question.
That's not a question.
It's just a very solid piece of advice.
Yes, it is.
Yes. He's saying something very similar to what I said.
Yes.
So me and Bobby agree.
Rob does have a question.
Oh, good.
I have a small shop garage. What are your thoughts on the Mini Gorilla? Worth the price?
Sure, it's fine.
The Mini?
Yeah, the Mini Gorilla is great. That's my backup dust collector, and will soon be the dust collector for the CNC, dedicated to the CNC.
Nice. We have a CNC.
Like, before I was able to get my full system installed, I had the Mini Gorilla as a roll-around option. It was a lifesaver. It's super powerful. I love the way that the little bucket engages, and it's totally portable, very easy to move around, good casters on it, and a decent capacity. I think it was like a 30-gallon, 35-gallon bucket on the bottom. But attaching it, detaching it, it all works the way it's supposed to. So overall, I'm a fan of it. Now, comparing it to other things, that I can't do for you. I've never compared it against, like, what's the Laguna P-Flux or something like that. Powermatic has something that you might put in a similar category. I can't compare it to those because I don't have any experience with those. But I do think that the Mini Dust Gorilla does what it's supposed to do. If that makes sense.
It does make sense. Let's see. Doug wants to know if you have any experience with the Lamello Zeta P2 system. That sounds like something Danny DeVito would make as a liquor. The Lamello.
Yes. Limoncello. No, I don't. I've never used any of those Lamello products. So if you guys aren't familiar, Lamello is kind of like, I don't know if they invented the biscuit joiner, but they certainly were the king of...
Sorry, I was looking for Dougie.
Certainly the king of biscuit joiners and making like the best ones out there. really on a different level. I remember talking to Daryl Peart about this because he had them. My only experience prior to that was just like the DeWalt or the Porter cable. But their biscuits in combination with their cutters and the tolerances that they have turn biscuits into something that's a little bit more, they tend to get like kind of just brushed off as like not a great type of joinery, biscuits in general, right? But when you see what the Lamello does and its type of biscuit, it's not exactly the same thing. And you would have more faith in those joints made by that particular system. So what he's talking about, they've got a whole line of products and little plastic connectors. Like if you're putting a face frame onto some casework, these interlocking connectors that kind of just pull it in tight so you don't have to put clamps on there. You just kind of put some glue, a little bead of glue, and snap that sucker in there. I've got no experience with it. Now, I think someone, if you want to follow someone who I am pretty sure uses this pretty extensively, is, what's his name? Keith Johnson? What's KJ Woodworks?
Yep.
I believe he uses that quite a bit on his channel, so go check him out if you want to see that thing in action.
The Lamello. Where's he at?
Not KNJ.
Oh, KNJ. No.
I thought, isn't it KJ? Keith Johnson? KJ Sawdust or something like that?
Is he in Colorado?
I don't know where he is. He's on YouTube. That's all I know. I got a computer right in front of me.
Yeah.
It's almost like I could look this
You
up.
could just look it up. Hey, Brian, he still cannot find the... Are you talking about the guild map? If you still can't find the guild map, you need to log into the guild. And I'm going to put the link, because if I put the link in the chat and you click on it and you're not logged in...
Is this Brian from the other day?
Yes, at the guild meeting. Because here's the thing. It's there. I've had like 10 submissions. So
Oh, since you announced it?
since I announced it. So
Brian, what are you doing, man?
Brian, that link is for you. Click on it. If it says it's not there, log in, and then you'll see it.
Yeah, so it is KJ Sawdust on Instagram.
Yes.
And then he's got content on YouTube as well.
Oh, and the Montwood Maker Company says, and Mike Farrington.
Oh, I didn't know Farrington made use of that stuff. I just apparently don't watch people. I don't watch anyone. I've been trying to get better at it. I just haven't done it.
He's been too busy playing Dig Dug.
Yeah, playing Battlestar Galactic.
No, it's Deep Rock Galactic. There's the 4 of us. We've been mining.
Yeah, lots of mining going on in this house.
Desire to be in the mines. Rocket Stone.
Yeah,
Anyway,
all right.
Video games. What else we got here? We got a question from Tristan. Can we see the dogs? Nope, because I tried to get a picture of Dougie and almost fell off this chair. So
Look, when we're done, when we don't mind messing up the camera position, I'm more than happy to pan down.
You won't see Abby. She was whining too much.
She's being punished in the bedroom.
But yeah. So.
She's probably chewing my underwear right now.
And it's only his. She will grab his shirts from the laundry. She will grab his underwear from... He has lost probably 10 pairs of underwear.
Well, it's funny, though, because half the time she does nothing. She just brings them up on the bed or up on her bed and just puts them down next to her. But sometimes when she's feeling particularly anxious, she will gnaw a hole in it. And I've got like padded cycling shorts, and that's where she really peed me off because I only have a few of those, and she ate the padding right in the taint spot.
I saw that.
There's a little,
I was like,
a little
ooh,
gap.
girl, you're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah,
for
I was
that
not
one.
happy about that. But most of the time, especially with the t-shirts, she leaves them alone. She just brings them up, and I think she kind of like
she's ripped a few of them.
She sniffs, gives it a little lick. and
There's
takes a nap.
There's been a couple that she has.
It must be a comfort thing because, like,
she
clearly,
smells you.
I raised her and was most involved in her upbringing, training, and walking and stuff like that. So,
Jack Dalby, my dog
me.
took my undies into the yard one morning. Thanks, Hammy.
Dogs are turds.
Oh my goodness. Let's see.
How many pairs? Someone mentioned Duluth. How many pairs of Duluth?
I said 10, like 10 pairs.
And that's all I have is Duluth underwear.
Yeah.
So once we started working with them, I was like, oh my God, these are game changer underwear.
We have some more underwear.
Well, my
Abby
collection was reduced by about 50% by Abby. Yes. Very expensive underwear too.
Yes. MP wants to know, are you stranded on an island? Do you have hope for red oak or purple heart? I don't know what that means.
You are stranded on an island.
Oh.
Do you hope for red oak or purple heart?
I read everything as a question. Red oak. Why would you want oak?
Why am I on an island worrying about
Wood.
what species the trees are? I've got bigger fish to fry.
He wants some cast iron.
I'm going to say that I would probably, neither one of those is ideal. Purple heart maybe would have the best shot of surviving if I were to build structures out of it. But also, purple heart is going to be a whole lot harder to work with limited tools. The red oak would be easier to work with. True. So you got a little bit of a catch-22 there.
What kind of tooling? You probably don't have. You have to make a tool.
Fashion your own out of rocks. But so that's why I'm saying the purple heart might be almost impossible to work. The red oak, at least I might be able to get. Even red oak would be hard to work with tools like that. But I might have a better shot with red oak than I would with. But I'm worried about weather. And at least purple heart's got a little bit of natural oil content in there. I don't know.
If you're stranded on an island, you got. Yeah.
I'm looking for a volleyball to have a friend.
So we went into one of our favorite barbecue places with one of our students that came, Steve. And we were standing in line, and Mark goes, "Does that volleyball have a face on it?" And they had, the place is called Sugar Fire, and they have a sand volleyball court on the side, and then in the summertime it's all kind of cool. But they were promoting it with the volleyball with the face from Castaway.
Oh, right.
It was kind of funny.
Ice Woodworks has a question about or a comment about
what, you don't want to talk about a 30-year-old movie?
Mm-hmm. I never do. Been seeing a lot of channels using Lamello. Makes me think they're doing a marketing push. Well, the only reason I bring this up is because I hope most of you feel the same way. That you're entering into this brave new world of influencers and understanding that when you see something a lot, there's typically a reason for it. And it's usually not just because it's a good product. We live in a world now where if 4 or 5 different people on YouTube are using a tool, there's a real good chance. Now, I don't know what Lamello's up to. I don't know anybody at Lamello.
We haven't been. I don't think we've been approached by them.
But in a post-domino world, people using Lamello, again, I don't want to disparage the product. It's definitely a good product, and they certainly have their niche. But in a post-domino world, if you're seeing a influx of people suddenly using it, there's a good chance they're doing some kind of a marketing push.
I was just seeing if maybe I got an email from them. Right?
I would happily try one and use it on a project or something like that, right? So, but more importantly, I'm just hoping you guys are entering into all of this stuff, knowing that when you see a popular product, it's only popular in most cases because the company pushed it into people's hands. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to name brands, but this has happened quite a bit in woodworking.
It's happened with us, too.
It happens in every industry.
Yeah.
But it's something that happens all the time, and it's just the way things are now.
Yeah. So hopefully you're becoming a more educated consumer of content that is
be savvy
online.
That a lot of these people are making their living by having this relationship with companies, and that doesn't always mean that you're getting the kind of information you think you're getting from that.
Well, and it's funny too, having 2 kids kind of growing up in the world of advertising to them.
Constant advertising. Like hidden advertising.
To them. I don't know if we said this on the show, but one time Ava saw a billboard and she's like...
No, it was the back of a truck.
Oh, was it?
Had an ad on it.
Oh.
And she was very, very surprised that ads could be on physical things in the real world.
In real life.
She's like, I can't... There's an ad on that truck. Because to her, an ad is something that interrupts her little app that she's playing.
Yeah, it interrupts things.
Put in a video or something. She didn't realize that advertising could be on actual physical items in the real world.
And then I wanted to say,
wild.
Wait till we get into paid product placement that you don't even know. Yeah. I still think about learning when back in the 90s, the Friends show had a TiVo, and TiVo paid to have it put there, and it was just part of the background. Mm-hmm. So when you start kind of dissecting it like that, you're like, oh wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah. I'd love to hear more about C. Maderick's perspective on that. He says something about it being much more solid than the domino. Are we talking about the tool itself? Are we talking about the resulting joinery? I haven't used it a lot. My assumption, though, was that no, I don't.
Oh.
That we're still looking at a biscuits level depth, no matter what they're doing, and that can be fine for certain casework. But I just can't see how the depth that you get with a domino would even compare it to what you can get with the
He said the build quality on the lamella is nuts.
Okay, so the build quality, yeah, that I certainly believe. I've had one in my hand, and that was when I realized the huge difference between biscuit cutter at Home Depot and then the lamello. It's just on a different level.
Yeah.
It is domino level quality from what I was used to in terms
and
of
he also
build
said,
quality. But
marking pushes are okay when the product's actually good. I have the lamella and both dominoes, and they serve their
but that's the thing, though. These days, how do you know? It's really hard to tell sometimes when the product, you're right, if it's actually good.
Right.
But sometimes it's not. Or it's just good enough that people can tolerate using it because they're being motivated to use it by the company. But how do you know the difference between, is it really that good, or is this just passable and they're being paid?
Well, and everyone's experience can be different.
Headphones.
I'm
not a big fan of isotunes, but some people have used them, love them, and it's great. But there's no doubt that they were definitely doing a big influencer push, and I don't know what they're doing now.
Well, and even the email that we got from Blake telling us his experience with the Laguna.
Oh, right.
And their customer support. And he did buy from Laguna, not from Beaver.
Okay.
So everyone has kind of,
their own experience.
Their own experiences. A bad one off the line, good. That's what's so hard about producing products and supporting those products.
Someone said like Powermatic supplying. Well, they definitely are doing a little bit more free product pushes now. You see, I saw Jeff O'Connor was on the Powermatic page recently, looking all sexy, doing his thing. Well, that's their strategy now, and it's not a bad one. Much cheaper than paying me.
A lot cheaper than paying you.
Yeah.
Alex said, "Is the mini gorilla bucket easy to carry to dump the dust?"
Easy enough. It's not. You won't get yourself in too much trouble with it because it's a fairly small bucket.
Build the muscles.
But it's on wheels, so you don't have to carry it until there's a point where you need to carry it and dump it.
For you, once you get past the concrete and you have to roll it down into the grass.
Man, that's not fun.
I
really got to get some kind of a paved walkway for that thing because it is comical what happens out there sometimes. What I should do is just turn the barrel over, roll it, and let it empty out as it goes. And I'll meet it at the bottom.
And they're like, "What's that, Mark?" "Oh, that's just my sawdust." We, during the Guild Watch Along, one of the videos I put up was how to make fire starters from sawdust.
Ishitani's
channel. Yeah. And I just thought it was kind of neat because we get that question a lot, like, what do I do with my sawdust? And it was just a unique, it's a very tedious process.
And what I had said at the time was like, it's great in theory, but the amount of labor and time invested, the only reason I would do it is if I could turn like an entire bin of sawdust into something else more useful. But you know what you need? Like a couple cups of sawdust will produce a whole bunch of these things. So there's no scale that would make that make sense for me.
Yeah.
For the amount of time that I would invest in that process.
Jesus wants to know if Alex's guild course is slated for this year, the end of this year. So actually, she just replied back that she can definitely do the settee in 5 days.
Have you guys seen this? Alex or Alexis Delese, Dolese. Google her settee.
How do you spell settee?
2 T's, I think. 2 E's.
But
Settee.
Oh, it's an S. See, I said a C.
So take a look at that. That's what we're going to be building with her. And she is an incredible craftsperson. And I cannot wait to get out there.
Yeah, my Google is not very good.
Nope. It's not worth it.
All right.
I told them what to do.
All right.
Just Google it.
Just Google it.
It's real good.
Or go to Alex's Instagram.
That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
When they do that.
Alex is an amazing instructor, and we are so excited to go to, where are we going? Montana.
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 Yes. I'm really hoping to bring my mountain bike. That's kind of a little
in June.
side
I think
dream
is when
I'm
we're
holding
gonna
on to.
we're gonna turn it into. So Todd will be filming. You're gonna be there also.
Getting in the way.
I'm gonna go, and the kids are gonna go, and I think Todd is bringing his kids, and his parents are coming, and we're just gonna.
I've never been there before.
I've been to Montana.
I haven't, and I think it'll be fun. Little vacation
But
while we're there.
I was working, so I didn't really get to see much.
Yeah.
So
That happens.
that's what.
All right. Any more questions? Did we exhaust our list of questions?
I'm sure there's probably more questions, but
Don't let me forget to show Dougie.
Oh yeah. Mark, have you seen the new Laguna D drill press 20?
No.
Looks pretty.
Yep. You know what? I've said this before. The drill press is one of the tools in the shop that I'm the least excited about technology.
Drill press.
For me, it's such a simple tool. Like the Nova drill press was a big deal, and I'm like, why am I overcomplicating this
Just drilling holes.
incredibly simple thing that just needs to spin in circles and go up and down on a table? Like, why am I overcomplicating this? So there are certainly people who will want to geek out, and this is up your alley. I think it's got a touch screen on it. For me personally,
Copy the link for me and I'll paste it.
well, this is a Rockler.
I don't care.
But this is the one they're talking about, I believe. For me, it just overcomplicates something that should be so simple. But if it's your jam and you're down with that, you like that sort of thing, we just went dead. Watch out. Hold on. Camera.
Built-in camera. Deep. FaceTime.
Okay, so here's the deal, guys.
This is why he was asking me if we were done.
Yeah, my camera that we have here, we've done 3 live shows on a battery, and I keep forgetting to bring a battery from the shop, so I had to quickly switch to the laptop camera. So this is a much more intimate way to do the show. Oh, you can see Spock now.
Yeah.
I think it's a good time to end the show.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Everybody's like, oh, there's Frozen. We're frozen.
Yeah.
Can you send a tweet from your drill press?
Do what?
Alex wants to know if you can send a tweet from your.
I would hope you could.
Yeah.
Right. I just, and again, back on the drill press, it's not to disparage it. I love people, companies pushing the technological envelope, but there are certain people who can make use of all those features. I'm just not one of them. It would be wasted on me. Right.
Did you want to try to show Dougie now? It's probably going to be hard to do that.
It sure will.
Yeah.
We
Dougie,
can try.
Come here, buddy.
It's a shame I don't have my phone connected to the system.
Come here, Dougie.
There we go.
There he is. There's Buddy.
There he is.
Oh, dear doggy.
He's your doggy boy. He just got groomed, so he's looking his best, and he smells
horrible.
Less terrible than usual. All right, let's get going then.
All right. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.
Yeah, we'll see you guys.
Hopefully people can hear us. Yeah, they can hear us.
You can hear. Yep.
Okay.
It's just a weird
press
view.
that like button, y'all. Listen to Sean.
Yeah, Sean knows what's up. All right, I'm going to go buy a drill press I don't need.
Bye.